Redditors who have stolen someone's lunch at work, why are you such an butthole? My husband packs my lunches for me sometimes and I usually don't know what he makes me. Anyways, some guy at work had the same exact lunch container in the fridge and sometimes he'd accidentally eat his lunch instead. He caught me doing it once and just stood there looking at me and I was just kind of like, what? Then he tells me I'm eating his lunch. We now put our names on our lunches. Tangentially related story. My dad used to work at a newspaper. Someone was taking food out of the fridge every day. So my dad made a sandwich using yellow soy ink instead of mustard, which stained the guy's mouth bright yellow. Justice. Look, you can steal the lunch, but for the love of God return my Tupperware. I actually had a lunch thief return my Tupperware once and I thought it added insult to injury. At my work everyone takes separate lunches so only one person is in the lunchroom at a time. Stuff was going missing from people's lunch bags for a few months. Finally the guy was caught when a co-worker went to the lunchroom to grab a drink and the thief had about 4 other people's lunch bags on the counter. He was picking through them, making himself a plate from everyone else's lunches. He was completely unapologetic too. Felt that we were mad at nothing and creating drama. Frick him. I am the receptionist of a small business and one of my duties is playing What's That Fricking Stench every Friday afternoon before I leave. There is a magnetic cup on the fridge door with a Sharpie and masking tape in it, for the express purpose of writing your name and the date it was brought in on the container. If it's been 2 weeks, it gets tossed. I even wash your Tupperware, you fricking food waster. No fricking crying about it. Somebody always cries about it. I don't fricking care. This isn't your home fridge to store crap for weeks. Space is limited. I'm impressed you wash the containers. I wouldn't have the patience for that. Had a housemate steal the last jar of jam from the last batch that my grandmother made before she died. B ate the entire jar with a whole box of saltines. Also stolen. She knew that I was saving it to make a special cake for my mom, whose mother had made the jam. She told me to calm down when I loudly raged at her and said, Jesus, it's just jelly, you can buy more. Just reading this filled me with rage. I did it once. There was a Costco box of those Marie Callender pot pies in the freezer at work. If you haven't tried one of these, they are freaking amazing. I was starving one day and forgot my lunch. I was getting some ice from the freezer and spotted the box. I was so hungry, so I grabbed one and ate it. I felt so guilty that I ended up sending out an email to everyone in the nearby area to say, whoever owns the Marie Callender pot pies in the freezer, I took one during a momentary loss of self-control. I owe you money. I really wasn't trying to be an butthole. I was just hungry. I accidentally stole someone's lunch once. I was working third shift and had brought in a frozen dinner for myself. When I went to lunch, I grabbed it out of the freezer, heated it up, and started eating it. About 10 minutes into lunch, my co-worker came in, looked in the freezer, looked at me, and walked out. I thought, what was that about, and finished my lunch. As I was heading back to work, out of curiosity, I looked in the freezer and there was a similar frozen dinner. Same brand but a different meal basically. And I was suddenly struck by the fact that I had eaten his dinner instead of mine. So I went to him and apologized. Told him he could have mine if he wanted, and that I would buy a replacement. I felt like real dong. But he told me that it was good that I had said something because he was planning his revenge and it was not going to be pleasant. What is it about people these days that they would rather plan to take fricking revenge than to openly confront you and ask why you took their food? Fricking heck. Sounds like OP had his lunch stolen. I just want my pita back. Several years back I was at a small company, and I would keep a bottle of water in the fridge. Sometimes, someone would drink my water and throw away the bottle. This was in the summer, mind you. I got fed up and replaced the water with white vinegar. This did 2 things. 1. We figured out who it was by his vomiting in the kitchen. Apparently, he chugged the water after being outside for a smoke break. 2. My water bottle was never touched again. God, this water tastes weird today. Chug 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 chug. I feel the same way about housemates who steal food without asking. Did you pay for that goddamn tub of Ben & Jerry's? Did I say you could invite? Fiend. Worked with a girl who was doing this. Turns out her last job, a TV writer's assistant, was completely catered. She just assumed all of the food in the fridge was put there to be consumed by all. She felt horrible when she found out. Cause caterers in the entertainment business routinely serve bologna sandwiches and 4 Oreos in a fold-over plastic bag. I wish more people were buttholes, so the fridge wasn't full of the moldy remains of a half-dozen forgotten lunches. Some butthole was constantly stealing my lunches. We're talking 2-3 times a week for 3 months, and I was bringing my lunches from home because I hate the idea of eating out all the time. I seriously contemplated doing something evil like tamper with my food, but at the end of the day, I knew all that was going to do was probably get my ass fired. So I went on Craigslist, found someone selling one of those mini fridges for $20, went and bought it and stuck it under my desk. Nobody's stolen my lunch since. Bonus, I always have cold drinks right there. I don't have to label anything. Nothing is going to get mistaken for someone else's food. No one claims that it accidentally got tossed when we cleaned the fridge. And no one steals my Sriracha sauce either. Best $20 I ever spent for work. A buddy of mine was always having his food stolen by his college roommates. One morning before class he gets up and there is a big chocolate cake in the fridge. He thinks, frick it, they always eat my food, I'm gonna eat some of this cake for breakfast. He cuts himself a big ass slice for breakfast and heads to class. Fast forward about 30-40 minutes and boom, it hits him. The cake was cooked with some weed butter oil. My sister had a problem with people stealing her lunch at an old job. It stopped when she switched to ham sandwiches. See, the company had a ton of Jewish employees. Apparently, the thinking was that God would forgive them for stealing but not if they ate pig. The thinking was that God would forgive them for stealing but not if they ate pig. Jew here. That isn't how most Jews think. Those guys were just a bunch of buttholes. There was a bottle of Hidden Valley Ranch in the fridge. It had been there for months. I could tell by looking inside that not a drop had been used since I first saw it. I brought a salad one day, but the cafeteria's ranch is the absolute worst. I used a small squeeze. I am basically Hitler. Condiments in fridge equals fair game, unless it's grandma's last jar of jam. I had a problem with hot sauce getting stolen out of my lunch bag. I would find it on one of the break tables almost daily. I ordered up some crazy hot sauce with 1 million Scoville units and top loaded the hot sauce. I left it in my lunch bag, tied off. Sure enough, it wasn't in my bag. I just wish I could see the butthole who ate it sweating and quivering. Trust me, you don't want to see his butthole after that. Worked with a guy that was a complete butthole. He would eat other people's lunch and then put the empty container back in the fridge. He ate a girl's KFC one day and stuck the bones back in the container and put it in the fridge. We never knew who it was till the boss got tired of the bitching and brought a chocolate laxative cake to work. Dude ate half the cake. We knew who it was when he spent half his shift in the shitter and couldn't go home till hours after his shift either. Best part was that the boss put a hidden camera in the break room so he was on tape eating the stolen anal destroying cake. That happened to me once. I was pregnant. I had no money in my account because payday was the next day, so I couldn't even buy something else. I had brought leftover pizza and found it half eaten in the trash. I had a total meltdown. Who eats a pregnant woman's food? Then found out it was the HR lady, who happened to also be the boss's daughter. I let it go like it wasn't the end of the world, but it never happened again. You do not frick with a pregnant lady's lunch. I worked at an electronics company when I was in high school. Very in-a-tech-like office environment filled with real-life adults with jobs and 401 KS. I worked in the stock room pulling parts for engineers, so I would come in after school and work until around 7 PM when the office was empty. My first week working there, I went into the break room to fill up my water bottle and found saltines and hot chocolate in the cupboard above the sink. As a newbie to office culture, I figured it was for everyone and helped myself. Every day I would come in and get saltines and hot chocolate, and the supply was always replenished on Mondays. After about a year of working there, I went in one day and found an angry note on the hot chocolate saltines box saying that it was someone's private stash and that whoever was stealing them had cost them thousands of dollars. I never went in the break room after that, and I haven't eaten saltines or drank hot chocolate since. I once had someone steal part of my lunch. I had a white rice with an hard-boiled egg and some ground beef on top. Kind of like a curry. They ate like parts of my lunch and left half of everything, including the egg. I don't get it. Just eat the whole thing. I threw it out and went and got McDonald's. That sounds like the saddest lunch ever. You put your name on it just so I'd know who was being so generous. You should have taken it to the next level and sent the hungry guy selfies of you eating his lunch. I have to wonder the mentality of this. I've worked at plenty of jobs that had an open lunch area with fridges and notes posted all over about not stealing lunches. I've had mine stolen a few times. People took to eating and stashing stuff at their desk and just ate while working. So what is it? Are you kleptos or what? Because I freaking hate that guy. I worked the night shift, and one day after a potluck there was a whole bunch of enchiladas in the fridge. My friend and I ate half the enchiladas for lunch, but it turned out they weren't from the potluck. My lunch was getting taken out of the fridge and only 1 or 2 bites would be taken out of it, so after this happened a couple of times I went to a local grocery that sells ghost peppers and I had leftover pizza in the fridge, so I lifted up the cold cheese and put as many chopped up ghost peppers and the seeds I could fit in the first few bites of the pizza. Went to work the next morning and put it in the fridge clearly labeled with my name on it, and about 2 hours later one of the nurses was in the bathroom throwing up and crying because her mouth and throat were burning so bad. Spicy justice. What? Did someone steal your Sweetroll? I did it by accident. I thought his pizza was part of the leftover pizza from the meeting yesterday. I don't know, I am sorry. There's this one guy in one of our offices that will sit in the bathroom for upwards 4 hours some mornings, usually about 30 minutes. But one day from 8:12 he was in there and his time frame of hogging the men's room usually overruns lunchtime. So when you have the post-lunch need to use the bathroom you can't. He also never says occupied when I knock on the door, so it's an awkward knock 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 and then a quick fight with a locked handle. So some days I would eat his lunch, if it was good, or just throw it away if it was something I didn't like. I didn't do it because I particularly wanted his lunch, but after doing so 5 or 6 times I guaranteed that come lunchtime he'll come out of the bathroom for at least 20 minutes. Was what I did right? Probably not. Was I justified? Maybe not. Did it get a lazy so-and-so that was causing tons of discomfort for the rest of the male employees to get the heck out of the men's room during peak usage hours? Definitely so. No one ever saw someone else's desired lunch in the fridge and thought, I wonder if that's mine. I mean, yeah, you might be hungry, but what about the person who doesn't have a lunch now and has paid the price for your poor planning? Pure and simple, it's a case of my needs and wants are more important than yours, and I doubt I'll ever be caught. Shameful. Plus, most workplaces either have vending machines or food places near it. At my office people bring bulk quantities of yogurt, let them expire, and then forget about them. They're all germaphobes who wouldn't dream of eating expired yogurt. Eating their expired yogurt is doing a public service, right? I made my sandwich with bees one day. The perpetrator got a mouthful of bees. They won't be stealing my lunch again. First time trying to be feature. Second time commenting. Wish me luck. I don't know what to say to be feature, so #feature me. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.